Happening right now, the Madison Common Council preparing to vote on the city budget, and there are some amendments included. We'll have the latest in a live report.
And plans for a major healthcare merger involving Unitypoint fall through. We have an update right now.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thank you for joining us tonight. 2 cold weather records have fallen over the last 2 days as a winter-like cold takes hold of Wisconsin.
Now, the good news here, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. After a little snow tomorrow, temperatures will gradually start to warm up. Let's go right to Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti in our first alert forecast. Gary?
Well, yeah, we, as you mentioned, we set 2 records. One late last night for yesterday. We set a record low at 9 degrees here in Madison. That tied the record. And this morning here in Madison, we dropped to 4 degrees. That broke the record low of 7 set back in 1986. Take a look at the cold temperatures across southern Wisconsin. 1 below 0, the low temperature in Platteville, and just across the Mississippi River. Dubuque, Iowa had a low of 5 below 0. That broke their record by 11 degrees. Current temperatures are in the lower teens. These temperatures haven't moved very much, and actually will probably start to rise over the next couple of hours. But as winds pick up, wind chills will hover around 0. So look for those temperatures to gradually rise into the upper teens by mid tomorrow morning. And then after that, we have some snow on the way with about 1 to 3 inches through much of southern and eastern Wisconsin from late tomorrow morning through tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. So expect the snow to develop sometime early morning to mid-morning and then continue through the afternoon hours. Tomorrow's high temperature back up to 27. Later on, I'll take a look at a forecast that actually includes some 40s in it. We'll just have to wait till next week.
The first major snowstorm of the year, combined with near whiteout conditions overnight in Ohio, led to a massive pileup on Route 8. More than 80 cars were involved. This is in Hudson, Ohio. That's between Akron and Cleveland. 5 people were taken to area hospitals, but there were no serious injuries. The Madison Common Council is poised to pass the city's 2020 budget, right now discussing potential amendments.
Now, in its current state, the budget does not allocate any money for additional police officers, but that could change. Madeline O'Neill live downtown at the city council meeting with where things stand right now. Maddie?
Eric and Charlotte, the council is discussing those amendments right now, already voting down the 3 that would have added a 9th ambulance to the city's fire department. Now they're talking about 2 proposals that would add additional police officers. This is the emotional public testimony that got us to where we are now.
In just the last month, we've had over 8 to 9 times where we had 0 ambulances that were able to provide service to our residents across this city. That is a problem.
It's a problem the several firefighters who showed up at the meeting want to solve with more funding in the budget for a 9th ambulance, noting that they could really use more than that.
It could be your mother. It could be your father, your grandparent, your son, your daughter that needs help.
One amendment to the budget would have allowed for that 9th ambulance and 10 additional firefighters, with one version using money that would come in part from eliminating a $200,000 independent police auditor.
If someone's pitting the fire department against an auditor, oversight of the police department, then they don't really care about any of us.
A friend of Paul Heenan, a man shot and killed by an officer in 2012, says an independent audit is critical for the Madison Police Department.
It has never found an officer in the wrong for taking a life since its inception. That's 130 years.
The sentiment is also expressed by the grandmother of Tony Robinson, the young man shot and killed by another officer in 2015.
They care about us. But every now and then there's one that needs to be said, nah, that's just not right. And there has to be independent. You can't have officers you're doing themselves.
Other amendments under discussion would add more police officers. One that would add 6 full-time officers next year takes the funding from areas including general municipal employees' pay raises and reduce funds for bus rapid transit studies.
The problem is, how can we address growing numbers of concerns with shrinking numbers of available police resources? I'm here today to advocate that more funds from the budget be put toward improving our city's public safety. The easiest way we could do this as a city is giving our citizens the number of police officers they need to keep them safe.
Right now, the council is talking about that amendment that would add more police officers. If they don't come to an agreement and pass the budget tonight, they can meet again tomorrow or the next day. Eric and Charlotte.
All right, Madeline O'Neill reporting live downtown, something a lot of people want to talk about. Maddie, thank you.
The former executive director of a Madison-based nonprofit faces a tentative charge of felony theft from a business. Detectives started investigating 40-year-old Jessica Grunich earlier this year after being contacted by concerned staff at NAMI, Wisconsin, a grassroots mental health organization. Their investigation found she used a NAMI credit card to make a large number of unauthorized purchases, including hotel rooms, rental cars, moving expenses, and restaurant bills. Unitypoint Health says it no longer has plans to merge with South Dakota-based Sanford Health. According to a news release this evening, Unitypoint says it had been seriously considering the merger over the last few months, but today decided it will not be moving forward with the partnership. New tonight, the city of Reedsburg has approved a new ordinance banning vaping and e-cigarettes from a number of public places in the city. The Common Council approved the measure unanimously at last night's meeting. A city clerk tells us anywhere normal cigarettes are not allowed, e-cigarettes are no longer allowed.
A homeowner says he's frustrated that more people continue to become victims of 17-year-old DeMonte Tillman. Brett Sprecher says Tillman burglarized his home several months ago and saw Tillman was arrested again last Friday for doing it to someone else. Tillman now has 9 open cases going through the court system. Today, we asked District Attorney Ishmael Ozan why Tillman keeps getting out of jail. He says cash bond has been recommended, but Tillman got out on signature bonds every time up until last week.
In the adult system, a court commissioner or a judge would decide whether a person gets bail, whether that's a recognizance bond, basically a signature bond, or what other conditions they're going to have as a condition of their release.
Tillman is still sitting in jail, was not able to post cash bond in this recent case. His next court appearance is set for next Tuesday. Police in Northwestern Wisconsin have made an arrest in the case of a starving dog found along a highway. The Boyceville Police Department says the suspect was arrested late last night for intentional mistreatment of an animal, but they have not released that person's name. That dog has gained 20 pounds since he arrived at the Dunn County Humane Society shelter on November 1st, just 11 days ago. And since that dog arrived, weighing just 23 pounds, now up to a little over 40 pounds, they say the dog should weigh between 60 and 70 pounds.
New tonight, if you live in Janesville, you may hear some shooting tomorrow. According to a release, the Janesville Police Department SWAT team will be doing low-light firearms qualifications tomorrow. This is going to take place indoors and outdoors from about 2:30 in the afternoon until 11 o'clock at night. The shooting will start outside as it gets dark, with a goal to be finished right around 9 o'clock. A major ruling from the Supreme Court today. It has decided it won't stop victims of the Sandy Hook school massacre from suing the manufacturer of the gun used in the 2012 shooting. The court decided not to take up an appeal by Remington Arms Company. Police say the shooter used one of the company's rifles to kill 20 first graders and 6 adults at the elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut. 5 of the people injured in the deadly shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival in California last summer have filed a lawsuit alleging that the Festival Association could have prevented the shooting by having better security. There was a fence around the grounds and metal detectors, but the shooter was still able to cut a hole in the fence, sneak in through the back, and shoot multiple people, killing 3 of them. They are seeking an unspecified amount, more than $25,000.
Lawmakers in Illinois are taking steps to potentially do away with daylight saving time. The state Senate passed the bill today with overwhelming support, 44 in favor, only 2 voting against it. It now goes to the House. If approved, the bill would make daylight saving time the year-round standard time for the entire state starting in March of 2020. Former President Jimmy Carter still in the hospital tonight. He is recovering after surgery to relieve some pressure from a brain bleed linked to recent falls. A statement from a spokeswoman said there were no complications from this procedure performed at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta for a subdural hematoma or blood on the surface of the brain. President Carter will remain in the hospital for further observation.
The Supreme Court is reviewing the Trump administration's push to end protections for so-called dreamers. Lawyers for both sides made their arguments in front of justices today. At the same time, demonstrators gathered outside the Supreme Court building in support of the program. DACA protects undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children from deportation. President Obama put it in place with an executive order. The Trump administration is now fighting to undo it. They could announce a ruling in June. The decision will affect around 700,000 undocumented immigrants currently in the U.S. And today, students across the country participated in walkouts to support Dreamers, including here in Madison and Milwaukee. Hundreds of young students gathered at the Wisconsin State Capitol to show their support for their undocumented classmates and family members.
Tonight, we are just hours from the first public impeachment hearings against President Trump. The two witnesses testifying tomorrow have a combined 51 years in foreign service. Ambassador Bill Taylor is the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, and George Kent is Deputy Assistant Secretary of State. They will be questioned by the 22 members of the House Intelligence Committee. Tomorrow's hearing will last at least 4 hours, and CBS News will bring you complete coverage of the first public hearings in the impeachment inquiry. Nora O'Donnell will anchor special reports from Washington tomorrow and Friday here on News 3 Now. Coverage tomorrow starts at 8:55 a.m.
The role religion plays at the state capitol, if any, is being examined in a pair of controversies centered around the holiday season. The state assembly overwhelmingly passed a resolution today declaring Thanksgiving week as National Bible Week. The Madison-based national nonprofit Freedom from Religion Foundation is calling the resolution, quote, inappropriate. But Republican leaders are defending it, saying they've recognized other religions in past sessions.
I certainly think that having us recognize that it's National Bible Week, since many of us are Christians, it doesn't mean that, we should recognize that, just like I'm not Jewish, but I certainly celebrate the Jewish faith and people who want to practice that.
So for the Assembly to consider a resolution basically endorsing one holy book over another is totally inappropriate.
The Assembly also passed a resolution declaring the evergreen tree that will go up in a few weeks as a Christmas tree. Despite criticism from Democrats, Governor Tony Evers called the evergreen a holiday tree last week. Still ahead tonight, an update on our snow chances for tomorrow, how much we can expect and when it'll start.
But first, the country's largest producer of milk files for bankruptcy today. We'll have the reasons behind the move when we return. America's largest milk producer is filing for bankruptcy. Dean Foods filed today. It's an effort to keep the 94-year-old company operating. It makes some of the country's most recognizable milk and dairy products, including Dairy Pure, Organic Valley, and Land O'Lakes. Dean Foods has struggled recently because Americans are drinking less cow's milk. For the second year in a row, Microsoft tops the list of most ethical companies among Americans. A study released today from Forbes, it found technology companies more than any other industry prioritize ethical issues important to most Americans. Other tech companies like Apple, Intel, Alphabet, and PayPal made the top 10. Facebook, one very notable exception for the list, it ranked 149th overall.
Officials from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services are urging people to make sure they get their flu shots before visiting family for the holidays. They say there have already been 6 deaths from flu-related complications in Wisconsin this year. The vaccine is readily available through healthcare providers and pharmacies and is safe and effective for people aged 6 months and older. Hyatt Hotels is making moves to become more environmentally friendly. The international brand is ditching travel-sized toiletries from its rooms. Portable tubes of shampoo, conditioner, and bath gel will be replaced with bulk-sized toiletries, helping the environment and cutting costs. The changes will be made beginning in June 2021 in 900 Hyatt hotels worldwide. Holiday Inn owner Intercontinental Group and Marriott International have taken similar steps. A possible meteor lit up the sky over the Midwest early Monday morning. This is video from St. Louis. The American Meteor Society says it received more than 90 reports from 8 states, including Indiana, Minnesota, and Illinois. Scientists say it could be debris from a comet that Earth passes through each year.
All of the recent snow, it's not all bad. Some ski resorts in the Midwest already opening this weekend. This is video from Cabernet, that's near Cadillac, Michigan. The resort has been busy making as much snow as they can, along with some help from Mother Nature. 30 inches of snow is actually reported about 70 miles west of Cadillac in Empire, Michigan, up near Traverse City. This is Caberfe's second earliest opening weekend ever. Gary Canalti joining us now. What was up with all that snow? Was that lake effect?
That was lake effect.
Right on Lake Michigan, just west of Traverse City.
That's an area, if the winds are just right, they can get it off of Lake Michigan. They can get it off of Lake Superior, too.
30 inches.
Well, so... but around here, we're looking at something a little more tolerable for tomorrow. But that's after record cold temperatures this morning. The cities with asterisks had record low temperatures, including Madison. We talked about that earlier. Dubuque, Iowa, 5 below zero. That broke their record by 11 degrees this morning. But there were also some records for the lowest high temperature for the date. That happened at Chicago, Rockford, Dubuque, Iowa, and Milwaukee as well. Here in Madison, that 17-degree reading was just 1 degree above our record low high temperature of 16 set back in 1940. La Crosse at a balmy 21 degrees. They were just a little bit above their record. Now, as we look on Doppler track, things are quiet across south central Wisconsin, but notice to the west, already some light snow starting to show up across parts of northeastern Iowa and southeastern Minnesota. The main part of the snow is back in western Minnesota and the eastern Dakotas. That will slide southeastward and give us a pretty good chance of snow tomorrow. And as far as the 3 things you need to know because of that, we are after that cold night tonight, and while temperatures will be rising, it will be breezy, so wind chills will stay around 0. And then snow tomorrow could bring 1 to 3 inches, the highest impacts for the afternoon commute. And then sunny skies return for Thursday and Friday. We should make the low 30s on Thursday and actually be above freezing by Friday. In fact, look at the high temperature trend. 27 tomorrow, 31 Thursday, and 34 on Friday. And those temperatures go up by a degree or 2 each day, so we're into the low 40s by Tuesday and Wednesday. Here's the normal line, and that means our temperatures will be back finally to around normal. If we hit that 43-degree high temperature on Tuesday and hit normal temperatures, it'll be the first time in over 3 weeks our temperatures have been to normal. That just shows you how long and how cold this last spell of cold weather has been. The live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, skies are still pretty clear across south central Wisconsin. That low of 4, again, breaking the record low of 7 set back in 1986, the high 17. We're at 12 degrees right now. Skies start to become partly cloudy. Winds are out of the south at 7, so that drops the wind chill to 2. Those temperatures will probably hold steady or even rise a little bit as we head through the overnight hours. But the northwesterly wind flow aloft, driving the cold air not only through the Midwest, but through New England and all the way down into the southern part of the United States. There are freeze warnings in effect effect for much of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. But as we zoom into our part of the Midwest, the light snow in the Dakotas will basically ride right along those jet stream winds into the Midwest. There's a stationary front here that divides slightly milder conditions to the very cold weather that we have here. But as the winds become southerly, these temperatures in the teens will start rising. We'll probably see temperatures in the 30s or by Thursday and Friday of this week. Our forecast for tonight calls for skies to become cloudy, maybe a flurry toward morning, but temperatures will hold steady or slowly rise. I think we've already passed our low for the night. And then for tomorrow, look for a high of 27 with light snow and about 1 to 3 inches of accumulation. Best chances will be late morning through the afternoon hours. Future track, the clouds moving in tonight, those temperatures climbing into the mid-teens. Then the light snow develops. By 4 p.m., you can see the snow pretty widespread over much of southern Wisconsin. Most of that will continue into the evening and then end out overnight, and then temperatures will drop into the upper teens. And then look for high temperatures on Thursday to be in the upper 20s to the lower 30s with sunny skies. The snowfall amounts, again, about a 1 to 3 inch snowfall through much of southern Wisconsin. But as we look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, again, those temperatures go up slowly. It's a process, but we're making progress. I think we'll be in the low 40s by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week.
It's going to feel warm. It will. It's going to feel great. It's going to be like spring.
First time in 3 weeks we've been to normal.
Thank you.
Sure.
Packers next game at San Francisco. Such a good matchup. They moved it to prime time. We'll have the story coming up in sports.
The Packers' next game is a week from Sunday at San Francisco, and the start time has been flexed. It was a 3:25 start, but since it's such a good matchup, the NFL has moved Packers 49ers to the Sunday night game, 7:20 p.m. on November 24th. Despite San Francisco's first loss of the season last night, the 49ers are still the #1 seed in the NFC right now. Packers and Seahawks both next at 8-2, but the Packers have the #2 seed because they're a division leader. A lot of people thought Craig Counsell should be the National League Manager of the Year, but for the second straight year, Counsell is the runner-up. St. Louis's Mike Schilt won the award today. Counsell led the Brewers to an 89-73 record this season, darn near won the National League Central Division, and did make the playoffs as a National League wild card, but of course, they lost to the Washington Nationals in that wild card game, but of course, they did it without having Christian Yelich the last month of the season because he broke his kneecap. Yelich is a finalist for the National League MVP that'll be announced Thursday. The Badger men's basketball team plays an early game tomorrow night at the Kohl Center. Wisconsin and McNeese State will tip at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. The Badgers got some potentially promising news when the NCAA's Committee for Legislative Review granted what's called a telephonic hearing in the case of Micah Potter. Right now, Potter has to sit the first semester after transferring from Ohio State, and 2 appeals by Wisconsin have failed. But it's the last chance for Potter and the Badgers to state their case one more time. They're not quite sure when that phone hearing will happen yet.
You know, he's only got 18 months left in his college career, so, and if he doesn't play until mid-December, he would have sat 21 months. So he's going to sit longer than he has left. So hopefully common sense will prevail here, and the you know, the right decision will be made. Hopefully we can convene that committee, like I said, sooner than later.
Badger football travels to Nebraska Saturday for an 11 a.m. kickoff on BTN. When Nebraska came to the Big Ten Conference in 2011, it was a big deal. People thought Wisconsin-Nebraska would develop into a great football rivalry. Well, jury's still out on that. Paul Chryst, 4-0 against the Huskers as head coach, and the Badgers are 7-1 against Nebraska since they came to the Big Ten. Doesn't sound like much of a rivalry, at least by the results on the field, but the Badgers know they have to take the 4-5 Cornhuskers very seriously.
Yeah, they're definitely a great team that a lot of people don't take serious, but they are definitely a great team. They have great players, always have, you know, always will. A great program, great tradition there, just like us, you know. So it's definitely a challenge, you know, but also always fun to play them.
They're on the schedule. Obviously, we play them every year, so I love going against them. They got a good, you know, stadium, good crowd and stuff like that, so I love playing in those type of environments.
The second week of the college football playoff rankings are out. LSU's win over Alabama has the Tigers on top ahead of Ohio State, and the Alabama loss moves Georgia into the top 4. The big move of the week, Minnesota now 8th. Wisconsin drops a spot to 14th, Michigan 15th, Iowa down to 20th. And we'll be right back.
There's high-resolution Doppler. It looks like some light snow starting to show up over parts of Minnesota and northeastern Iowa. Our temperatures have not moved very much. They're still in the teens here, single digits to the east, but those wind chills are hovering just above and below zero. Look for about 1 to 3 inches of snow tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening.
Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.